All right. I was about to crash out here. I just finished taking some meds. Good stuff. Nothing bad. Yeah. I got an email here. Hey Lou, post a pic of yourself and Benny. For back in the days, we need a laugh while we wait for XRP millions. I just sent them a link. Me and the Benny monster. Uh, I'll give you two funny fast Benny stories. Then I'll crash out for tonight. Then we'll start Monday. Go from there. Uh, all right. There was a I think it was Pentecostal, Jehovah. I don't know. I don't really know what's the difference of it. Whatever. They weren't Catholic, so at the end of the day, they were just that. It was the wild church. But anyway, the priest there was like a big time hustler, con artist type, whatever. He actually owned a couple of shops in my neighborhood, but he had the church up in Spanish Harlem on the north side, almost crossing the bridge into the Bronx. And one day he comes over because me and Benny, are just there hanging out, and he's like, "You guys look strong. Yeah, you guys are strong." And I'm looking at Benny like, "Yo, if he says something like, you look good," I was gonna knock this guy. I had no idea he was like a fake half a priest in the Bronx, whatever, like that Spanish barrio side. And he's like, "Do you think you guys could lower me down if I was tied in a rope?" And I'm about to smack him. I'm like, when I start to feel somebody being real suspect, like you're about to get whatever, I'm getting ready to smack the, like, remember, AT&T, how can I help you? One of those kind of deals. And all of a sudden he goes, because I got a church, and I know that what I can do is I can basically like get lowered down, and everybody could think like I'm Jesus, and then at the end of everything, you could lift me back up, and then they could think I flew away to heaven. So I'm listening to this motherfucker like, are you fucking for real? I'm like 15, 16, around that age, you know, that age where anything is possible, like making a nuclear bomb in a basement. Like, yeah, no problem, we could do it. Go to Home Depot. Um, but anyway, Benny goes, yeah, we could do that. This is just after we hung this guy from the building to get back into his apartment. But that was a different story. So the guy's like, this man, I'll give both of you $50. All you gotta do is just lower me down from the roof of the church, because there's this open area, like in New York City, you had like skylight type stuff, whatever. So like in the auditoriums, so they could look at the stage and stuff like that. And we were up there like in a room. So it's like this little room above the stage where they control like lights and all kinds of stuff, whatever. So sure enough, for $50, hey, we'll lower him down, we'll lift him back up, it's no problem. He's like a half a skinny guy. So anyway, I told us to be at the church. It was like 2 weeks like that Sunday. So we showed up at this church. It was like a half an auditorium, Jesus is on the cross, he's watching everybody. He's like, oh shit, Benny's in here. And all of a sudden, he takes us up to this room upstairs above the entire, like the auditorium, or church, whatever they want to call it. It's really like an auditorium. And there's an area there where it's like a latch, and he opens it up and he goes, see, what you got to do is you got to lower me down, and I'll land right on the stage. And I'm thinking to myself, like, does this motherfucker, like, for real have good HMO or something? Because I'm thinking to myself, like, that's high. Like, I was like, all right, no problem. And I'm looking, and Benny's like measuring him up, like, yeah, no problem. We could do this. I could lower him down, whatever. So this guy actually goes, he puts on his like whole Jesus attire. All I can say at this moment, Jesus, I had no idea he had a Jesus attire, like for real. Like he got decked out like him and Moses are gonna go dance the lambada. So all of a sudden, he comes back in the room. He goes, I'm ready. And I look at this and I'm like, and the people I can see downstairs, the people, they're getting together, they're sitting down, they're getting ready for the whole sermon thing, whatever. The music is playing, that weird, church music. Somebody brings a tambourine. Somebody brings one of those, something's going down. So anyway, all of a sudden, the guy, he gets right next to the opening, and Benny comes to the rope, puts it on. We latch it on. We make one of those freaking half a Boy Scout loops where there's no way you're gonna get out of that thing. Like that's it. And we latch it over, like there was a bar there for like to bring the light bars up. So we're like, we got you. So anyway, me and Benny, we grabbed the rope. It's a pretty thick rope. We grab this rope and we start lowering him down like, and he's going down and people are going crazy. Look, it's Puerto Rican Jesus. Hand over hand. Keep going. And he was going down like that. Yes, I am here. Whatever. So we lowered him down completely. And then he was down there and he like took off the rope and stuff like that. Or I don't know what he did. He just leaned back. So we had no tension on the line. So we were just hanging out up there. So we're just, wondering what we're going to do. We both made $50. We're like, maybe this could be a side gig, whatever. All of a sudden, like about 20, 25 minutes into the sermon, whatever, the wildest, craziest, thug-like, gangster Puerto Rican motherfucker showed up in that room. And he's like, yo, anybody else up here? I'm like, no, motherfucker. We're like, just us. He's like, all right. I'm going to tell you something. When you bring them back up, okay, once you have them back up, let me take over the rope. I'm like, why? And he's like, that motherfucker fucked my wife, and I'm gonna get my revenge today. I was like, what part of the $50 plan? I didn't. This is not part of the plan I heard. So anyway, I was like, whatever. He's like a half an adult serial killer, and he's up there, man. You could see he's amping up. Like, he's saying in Spanish, like, Termina, like, finish up already. The guy downstairs don't even know this motherfucker's waiting for him upstairs. He's been waiting to catch him. So anyway, it's all over. And he tells the audience, y ahora me voy para el cielo. Like, no, I'm going back to heaven. And the people are like, yeah, he's going back to heaven. I was like, you ain't going back to heaven. You're going to hell, dog. So anyway, the time came when he tugged the line and I felt the rope. I was like, no. And then the serial killer dude was like, bring him up. We're bringing him up. He's like, that he's floating. So anyway, he comes back up and like the guy, like he's getting ready. Like you could see he's getting ready. So anyway, he tells us when he's halfway through the hole, just hold the rope. I was looking at Benny like, yo, I don't know what's gonna happen. But anyway, when he got to halfway the rope, so Puerto Rican Jesus, his feet were outside the hole, but his body was inside. So he was all happy and everything until the guy got in front of him, and he's like, you remember my face? And Puerto Rican Jesus, he was like, what? No. Do not sin, do not choose violence, that type of stuff. So anyway, the serial gangster killer, he just started lumping Jesus up. He took Puerto Rican Jesus, he machine gunned the head, like he was taking him out. And we're holding the line. He's machine gunning him. And the body's like swinging around. He was already knocked out. So Puerto Rican Jesus was taking the hits. He was like one of those fights, and Tyson went the distance. It was like 9th round. It's like, how many hits could you take? But then we have a problem. Puerto Rican Jesus got heavy when he was unconscious. So he couldn't help us like throw one hoof over and climb over. We never factored that in. We're not professional. We're not like part of a union or something. So we're like, the serial Puerto Rican killer, whatever, he left. He got his 52 blows on Puerto Rican Jesus. He was gone. He got his vengeance. Hey, it's in the Bible. All of a sudden, Puerto Rican Jesus like, he's just swinging, and then people like, go to heaven, Jesus. I was like, I think he's already there. And we were trying to like bring him up, but here was the problem. One of us was going to have to let go of the rope to go grab Puerto Rican Jesus to throw his body onto the floor. The problem was we didn't factor this whole thing in. Here's the problem. It was either between me or Benny that had to let go of the rope. So I thought to myself, okay, since I'm close to Puerto Rican Jesus, closer, and Benny's from behind, I'm like, okay, Benny can hold on to him and I'll grab him. Let me tell you something. Benny's like, he's wrapped up, I got him. Just get him. So I went to go get him. As I'm lifting him up, Puerto Rican Jesus, I don't know what happened. Like, for real. Like, he got a message from Big J himself. All of a sudden, he just, like, lifted up his arms, But the problem was we had the rope around his waist. So when he did that, I had the loop. I was looking at him. When I looked down, Puerto Rican Jesus was on top of a bunch of people. There were old ladies knocked out. People were screaming. Oh my God. Like to see Puerto Rican Jesus go down. And I looked at Benny, and Benny looked at me. We're like literally like wiping fingerprints off, whatever, and we left. We went back to the neighborhood. And you know when you're a kid from the hood and you're involved in something bad, you didn't do it yourself, but something happened and you were involved. People ask you, hey, what'd you do today? Oh, nothing. I was just in the park. I was minding my business. The next day, there was a Puerto Rican newspaper Frank used to read all the time. My father used to read all the time, called the Voxero and El Diario. And in the front page of it, they had a picture of Puerto Rican Jesus. He was out. Like, I don't know if he died or anything, but he was like on his way to go talk to like, all the angels. Like, so, my father, he's reading, man, look what happened to this guy. He was going up to the ceiling, whatever. And, apparently he fell down and everything. And what's funny about it was that Frank and my father were laughing at it. And they were laughing like, yeah, whoever was lifting them up probably let go or something. And, if that guy dies, they'll probably get like attempted murder or manslaughter or something. So he's laughing because they're laughing like, who's the stupid people that did the rope stuff. And all of a sudden, I remember Frank just looked at me and Benny. He just had that stare like, he didn't say nothing, but I think in his brain, he like put together like 2 + 18 times 17 minus XLM plus XRP. He thought these two motherfuckers were there somewhere. So we just was like, bye, listen, I'm gonna go hang out, whatever. But I still remember that was the Puerto Rican Jesus story. I was fucked up. The other one was that Benny one time got a job as like a half a superintendent in a building. And we were about to go out and hang out and party and club, whatever. It was like, I don't know, Friday night. And Benny just said he had to go take care of one thing because the city shut down the water. So he was going to take out like a valve, the main valve for the building. So it's just no big deal. Just take it out, put a new one in. And that was the water valve that went up to the building. All the water pressure would come up. The problem was that, unfortunately, I happened to be there. Mike happened to be there. Biddy happened to be there. We go into this room in the basement. We open the door. We go inside. We find the valve. So Benny's taking the valve. He has this big wrench, this big wrench. So all of a sudden he takes this thing off. Now the main pipe that comes into the building from the city water is completely open. There's nothing blocking it. There's nothing. So Benny's getting the thread ready on the other side. He's getting ready to put this thing in, this big like steel monster, like this brass fitting. And we're there talking like, hey, we're gonna go downtown. We're gonna jump on a train and go down, whatever. All of a sudden, we hear something that sounded like a subway car just rushing down the hallway, like the tunnel. Like, what's that? Amazing. I don't know. All of a sudden, what happened? The city turned on the water for the street, I think an hour before they were supposed to, or half an hour before they were supposed to, and all that water flooded and started coming into the room. Like, you're talking about like millions of gallons. Like, we were in this room inside of a basement of a building. And we were like, we were trying to like stop it and stuff like that. It didn't matter. The force of the water was coming in so bad. And the water was just flowing. And the door that we came in through, the water pressure was so strong, it closed the door on us. And the water kept coming. And that's no big deal because you're like, oh shit, I'm wet, whatever. I'm going to have to go change, whatever. We're going to try to turn this thing off, the water stuff. So we're trying to on the side. That shit ain't working. Let me tell you something, the fear factor came in. When I felt myself starting to float, and I started seeing like everybody like, when you start like being carried away, you're like on your toes, on your tippy toes, and I start to see things like boxes floating around, and the water keeps going up and higher and higher. I was like, holy shit, we're gonna drown in this room. Biddy was one that freaked out because like in his brain, I think he just finished seeing Indiana Jones or whatever, the temple of killing black people. And at the end of the day, that wasn't going to work for him. So he's screaming like a bitch. We're fucking about to drown. That water's cold. Like, woo, one of those kind of things. And there was like this little window that literally, like, I mean, you could probably fit like a cat through it or something. And that, at the end of the day, was our only lifeline to get out. So the idea was, when that room starts to fill up to a certain point, we're going to be close enough to that window to get out. So sure enough, when we get closer, what happened? Go to that window, that fucking thing won't open. That fucking thing won't open at all. Like, you think, how could this be? We're like, our hands are cold because the water's so freezing. That's when Beatty was so frozen and paranoid. He took those fingers. He was like, I don't care. I ain't dying in here. He gripped that frame and did that one of like that angry old black man type stuff. He ripped it out. I ain't dying in here. Let me tell you something. We went through that window. We landed on the other side of the yard. It was like fucking horrendous. It was like a floor drop, and we were already wet and shivering. It was ridiculous, and water's coming out. All I can tell you is this: as far as Benny, you got to be very careful on whatever you do with him, because at the end of the day, he doesn't mean bad, but things happen. Puerto Rican Jesus and that flood, and a bunch of other things that have happened. So, if you wanted to hear some Benny stuff, there you go. Good night, motherfuckers. I will be around tomorrow.